Good evening, Trash Talkers, and welcome to VTT Book Club. My name is Len. I'm your host with Kevin. Oh, right here on this side. And we're joined with our special guest, Daniel Fielding. So we've been reading his book, The Asset Mindset, and we are on our final meeting 4, and we have read all the chapters up until today. So we are going to go over chapters 10 through 12, and we're definitely going to get Daniel's input on everything. The book has helped all of us. It was kind of like a therapy session, like Kevin mentioned earlier. And it's definitely been an asset to all of us. So before we start, I want to get some of you guys' input and how you feel about reading the book. So Michelle, up until this point, how do you feel how the asset mindset has helped you?
How do I feel? I don't know. It's a little out of the question. It was a great tool, I feel. It's nothing that I really didn't already know, but it's good to see that somebody actually put it in writing, and I just like the way the design was made so that even though it was coming from a military personnel, that anybody could relate to that, even if you weren't in the military. I think that was like the biggest plus out of that book.
Right. I love how it said that you didn't have to be special forces to have the asset mindset. And a lot of us already have that in us. It's just that seeing it in words and then actually putting it into action is a whole different thing, and being able to talk about it. Right, Dave?
Yes. And that's been one of the big things that I've taken away from this book is how I have a lot of academia background, but I haven't been able to speak with any of the veterans in the community since I retired, really, in 2009. So that's just part of helped me get back into it. Then to hear your perspective of way some of what they call the growth mindset, the asset mindset is pretty much the same thing, and how they interact with each other, and really helpful. And especially whenever you say write about your special forces stories, I can't always relate to it, but it helped me get through the book a lot easier because of as an Army guy was talking to me. So thank you.
My pleasure.
Rex, we lost you there.
No, he's coming back. I can go.
Kevin.
But I've always got something to say, even though I feel bad about that now, because Daniel said stay away from talkers, but I hope I'm as much a doer as I am a talker.
I did say that, exactly.
But
as long as you stay positive, right?
Is the book as a whole, what was really nice for me was that there was a lot of things Michelle touched on that where I'm like, wow, I've been doing that. I've been doing some of those things separately, just through experience, through just who I am. But the way that Daniel, the way you he's here now, so you don't have to refer to him in third person anymore. The way you laid it out, first of all, there's a lot of things in there that are profound, but they're simple. They're simple. From day one, I was able to take things, maybe it started with the vision. Now I can't even remember because it's just become such a part of what I do. So when I recognized that there were things that I did do that made me an asset mindset, I also realized that I was lacking to make me the complete package. And that's where I've been able to take those lessons within the book and start focusing them, laser focus actually. And I mean, applying them to absolutely every aspect of my day. I mean, on an ongoing basis. That's what's so cool about it, and as David touched on, the narrative stories help make the veterans, regardless of our experience, relate to it. But it's just, it like I said, it's profound, but a lot of times profound statements, profound words seem almost you can't turn them into achievable deeds, because they seem way too big. But the way this is approached, it lets you say, wow, I can do that. Oh, wait, I can do that too. And before you know it, like me, I don't even know how many things I'm doing now that, that I apply to my life through lessons I've learned in the asset mindset. So I'm very thankful it came across my radar for sure.
For me, it was really reassuring to see that that I am on the right path. So continue learning, always improve yourself, keep growing, look for the opportunities, always say yes. So chapter 10 was about saying yes to those opportunities or making a way for those opportunities. Even if the door was cracked open a little bit, you still got to work hard for those opportunities. And it kind of reassured me on the path that I'm going, because even at 37, right now I'm doing my PhD, and like, I never thought at this point in my life, a girl from the hood in California, like boys in the hood style stuff, would be getting her PhD, let alone working for Department of Homeland Security, being a veteran and all that stuff. It just like reassures me and proves that you have to have that asset mindset, keep those positive people around to make those changes. And, for me, it also showed that every time you want to make a goal, you have to make a plan, right? So that plan, so I think in the book you called it steering your ship or something, or navigating. And so even though that goal is far, or even if that goal is huge, or if it's big, just doing like 1 inch at a time, or one step at a time, like we've been talking about this whole entire time up until now, if you add those inches up, or if you add those miles up, one a day is 365, right? You're still 1 inch closer to your goal. And so that helps you understand that goals and all that stuff doesn't happen overnight. Like, you actually have to work towards that. Am I right, Daniel?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And just so you know, we're kind of on the same path a little bit. I talked about hotel parties in high school, hanging around with the wrong people. And, like, I could have gone down a different path, and it all comes down to our decisions. I mean, there is luck involved, yes, but we all have opportunities of good luck and bad luck. It's how we deal with them that, results in the end effect. Because we have people we all know that have been through crazy turmoil and are now recovered and doing amazing things.
That's right. Yeah. And you also talked about taking away those nuggets of knowledge in chapter 10. So tell us a little bit of some of the nuggets of knowledge that you want all of us, our listeners, and future readers to know, to take away from the reading.
Well, I think I might have mentioned this in the book, so I'll give it away. And there's obviously a lot more in it, but a smart person knows they don't know everything.
That's right.
You can't go in there and think like, oh, I got this. You're going to have to work. You're going to have to learn. Even the best and brightest people I know are still learning and educating themselves and doing stuff. So that's a huge nugget. And then there's just simple little sayings, that keep it simple, stupid. Yeah, that's a simple saying, but like that can help you achieve things, and that 1 inch a time, that's perfect. And realizing that the people you're around really do shape and affect your life. So if you are around a bunch of negativity, even though you're trying to be positive, it makes it that much harder. So you really do need to look at your environment and what you're doing, and then understand time. Time is key. We all like, oh, we can procrastinate. I even do it. I mean, this book is a tool for myself as well. Like, just because you read it, as you all know, doesn't solve all the problems. It's the end all, and oh, now you're going to have great success. No, you actually have to do the work and apply it. But so knowing that time is such a great asset and that you can actually turn it to your advantage. That's why I love that analogy of like, if you wrote 1 page a day, you could have a 365-page book, in a year. You hear 365-page book, that's like, whoa, mind blowing. Like, that's a lot of work, but I can write a page a day. I won't get into the editing process because that's that's some time consuming.
Rex, you got anything to add? I've never heard you this quiet before, man. I'm a little worried about you.
Yeah, this book's can everybody hear me good?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I am. So yeah, this book's allowed me to do a lot of things. Like one of the biggest things is like, I've always wondered, like, I like to drink every day, drink like 5 beers or so. I do home remodeling work, so my body's hurting a lot. I just like to wind down. I got 2 foster kids. I just like to wind down. Anyway, so it's like this book has allowed me to push myself to, like, I made the decision, I went like 4 days without drinking, and I could have went 5 days. I could have went 6 days, and it's like I was able to make that choice that like I have full control, you know, and there's all these things in my life that I have control with, but it's like there was just that one thing. And, you know, it allowed me to realize like I don't really need it, but I choose to want it. That doesn't really justify it. But just this book has allowed me to, you know, gain that.
Oh. Do you freeze?
We lost you, Rex.
Is he still there?
Like so,
Yeah,
like
you
recent
see
remodel
there,
and I
yeah.
keep all. It was 1915, so it had a lot of. Did it go out?
Mhm.
Yeah. Well-
So I took on a big job to well, I guess it cut off. Whatever.
That's
So
okay.
I'm hearing you about as far as like you've realized that you have more control. You're not just a victim to daily routines. You can
Right.
change your routine. That's what I heard from
That's
your
right.
message.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's what we
exactly.
all can do.
Yeah.
If you make that decision, you can do it.
That's it. And
Right.
that's
And you take
Yeah.
things that it really I've always been hungry for overtime because I came up in the machine and trade, and they've all heard this. I'm speaking to you, Daniel. And I was sitting there. I mean, it was like chapter 2. You know, I had it under my belt. And I was sitting there and I just had like this little thought, you know, when you were on the road working as a machinist away from home, you made a crap ton of money. And then I'm like, second thought was, but wait, you could do that right now where you're at and still be at home. And then based on the book, I actually asked myself, you know, I'm like, do you want it? Is that what you want to do? And I guess the answer was yes, because since I answered that question, yes, as these people, as my friends know, my colleagues know, when the opportunity affords me on the split shift I work, instead of going in at 8 o'clock, I'm going in at 4 o'clock. That's unheard of for Kevin Travers. Kevin Travers is not a morning person, but the beauty of it, I've actually learned that I am a morning person. I value those mornings now in a way I couldn't even imagine before I took the challenge on and asked myself simply, do you want it? And what are you going to do to make it happen? That alone is, again, profound, but you made it simple because you just have to ask the question, do the work, of course, plan, do the work, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Yeah. It may take a little longer than you thought. It may happen quicker than you thought.
Right.
But as long as you keep, it's like the marathon. If you never stop running it, even if you have to walk, you know, do whatever, like if you don't stop, you will finish. Like, it's just, what's your time going to be, you know? And yeah, we all run different times in life and different speeds. So, you know, you're not really worried about everybody else. You're focused on, okay, what am I doing? Where am I going? And knowing you're going in the right direction right there is going to help you, you know, gain momentum.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we're getting ready to leave chapter 10, Len, but there's
Yep.
got to be at least one Kid Rock story you can share.
I was
that's not
just
in the
gonna
book.
ask. I was like, we need to hear it. I mean, we're
We need
here
to hear
at
at
chapter
least
10.
one good Kid Rock story.
it
that's not-
starts
and it
with
don't have
Kid
to
Rock.
be- Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, you probably touched a huge nerve with that story because who is not an American and not a Kid Rock fan? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, you guys. All right. You know what? You guys have been great. I'm going to give you a little something, you know. Actually, I might even give you a couple little somethings. Let's just say that, you know, I'm still close and I'm going to be doing some things more with him.
Nice.
Good.
So that's something that's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
But
That's awesome.
oh, Kid Rock story. Geez, what one? I mean, I could share one that he'd be a little mad at me about.
Well, don't do that. We don't want to. That's
No,
a
it won't be a bad guy. He'd be like, man, you're ruining my
Do it.
reputation. I'm supposed to be the American badass.
There you go.
I'm going to share something. This is where I say about assets, and you know, you find good people, you stay close to them, or you know, that's his line. You find good people, you keep them close. But one of my moments, like we all have these moments in time, and we were doing a show, and we're, you know, at a casino, getting ready to do the show, heading up this escalator, and there's these two older women, you know, complete white hair, you know, going to bingo, and one of them recognizes Rock, and is like, "Hey, you're that rocker guy." And he's like, "Yes, ma'am, I am." She's like, "Are you here to gamble your money tonight?" Or something along that line. It's like, "No, ma'am, I have a show." And he's like, "So what are you ladies doing?" "We're here to play bingo." And I'm like, just, you know, sitting back and smiling. He goes, well, you know what? Here, tonight's on me. And he takes his money out and he's like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, on you. And it was just a random act of kindness. They're not going to go to his show. They're not going to buy his tickets. He wasn't getting any spotlight. It was just like, and I'm like, that's why I'm around you. That's why I want to be here. I want to be in the circle, because he really is. I mean, there's a lot of media out there and they all try and, you know, words and spin. I don't care whether you're left, right, whatever, but like, we're all American. And it's when the media takes the spin and tries to divide us and make enemies, it's like, that's horrible. Because he does get a bad rap about some stuff. I mean, I'm not going to say he doesn't party hard. There were some times I was like, hey, Bob, we need to go and get you back.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was some fantastic reading there, reading about everything about it. That was the moment you went, whoa, Kid Rock.
Yeah.
You know, in chapter 10, you're like, I want, you know, you're initially going, okay, I wonder who he was with, and all of a sudden it's Kid Rock, and you're like, yes, sir.
I was living in Houston, and at the time, and in Houston every year they do the Houston Rodeo, and every year they do like a salute to service where somebody performs for free for all the service members. Or, you know, everyone gets to come and buy tickets, but service members and veterans get to go for free. And Kid Rock was the liner there, the headliner.
Okay.
So I remember that. And we got to go on the stage and present the flag and, you know, do all the stuff before the rodeo started. But it was because Kid Rock was performing. So that was pretty neat.
No, that's awesome. And the one thing I hope everybody got from that, you know, chapter, and it's not just like, yeah, it's a great story about meeting Kid Rock and everything, but like how our friendship and it all developed. Right. Like I was giving him thanks for the support. He's giving me thanks for serving. And like that gratitude back and forth, we just hit it off. You know, I kept trying to like, hey man, thank you. He's like, no, thank you. Oh yeah. And, you know, and then sharing stories. And it was just like, we were both honoring each other. And those are the things when you meet people and you start seeing that, you know, that gravitational pull between like-minded people is very powerful, you know, and people will recognize it. And that's one of the things I tried to convey in that chapter. And I hope you guys understand that. It wasn't just like, ooh, yeah, you know, like right place, right time. But you know what? You mentioned the door. That door was cracked there. I didn't have to walk up to him. I could have been like, oh, wow. You know, I was like, nope, I'm going to open that door up and see what happens. And,
well, yeah, you guys started with the gratitude, and then you even said that he didn't even know your story or anything about you, that you just served. And then later on that night, then like finally he heard some of your stories, but it was all about gratitude for sure.
But it would have never happened unless he laid it out there.
Right. You got to take advantage of it. If it comes your way, you can't like miss an opportunity.
And if you hadn't, Daniel, right now, you'd be telling us a story about that one time you almost met Kid Rock, right?
Yeah. Oh, I would not. Honestly, I wouldn't. I would not be where I'm at right now. Let's just say part of the reason why I'm in Nashville is because of connections and knowing him and people I've met through him and all that. Like that one moment in time has shaped the like rest of my path in my life. I mean, he was, when my wife and I got not remarried, but renewed our vows, he was there as a groomsman. You know, I didn't even tell anybody, but like he showed up and it was so funny. Like some of my wife's coworkers like, man, that guy looks like the Kid Rock. That's not like that. And like, no, that's him. But I didn't want to tell anybody because of course people would be coming to, you know, meet him, or they'd be bringing CDs, and, you know, he was there as a friend and a guest and support. Right. It wasn't a show or any of that stuff. Right. So, but yeah, amazing person. And if you ever have opportunities like that, you know, with someone that you appreciate, no matter where they are or what level they are in life, go up and introduce yourself and just give them some gratitude. You have no idea where it may turn out.
Absolutely. And just to set your mind at ease, and I know everybody has a different take, but I'm looking at the last, almost last sentence in chapter 10, and this is what I took away from it. When you find good people, you keep them close. And I didn't know it, but that's exactly what I've done with VTT, because I didn't know where, you know, connecting with these people was going to take me. And it's been such a a short period of time when I, look back in this last year, and because it's almost pretty close to the anniversary of me coming on board with Veteran Trash Talk, that's 1 year. In 1 year, my life has completely changed. I mean, look what I'm doing now. If this was a year ago, the TV'd be on, I'd have my feet
Right.
up, and but now it's like I realize the potential and the opportunities are there for the taking if you do the plan, if you want it, and you do the work. But that sense of gratitude is definitely what brought me to Veteran Trash Talk. Obviously before I knew there was such a thing as an asset mindset, because as a Cold War veteran, I had nothing but the utmost respect and gratitude for anybody who served over the last 20 years. It's just, I'm in awe of the people who've served during this time of conflict. So that's what I took. When you find good people, you keep them close, and I plan on keeping every single one of you close. I'll tell you that.
You said good people. You let me in. Okay. There's an exception to every rule, I guess.
Yeah.
You're good people, Dave.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
What you got for us, Mom?
so then in chapter 11, we talked, Daniel's here. I'm used to saying Fielding talked about.
Actually,
So in
she's just
chapter
Mr. Fielding.
11, we talked about, or we read about the influence. No one influences your life more than you do. Okay. So you are your own greatest asset. The way your mindset is, the way you think. You are your own greatest asset. Your dreams and achievements do not come true on their own. You need to make that happen. So you need to take that ownership and control of success. So I think what Rex was going about when he was talking about his story from day to day, drinking and stuff, he took ownership of that and said, hey, I have the power to change that. I have the power to change my destiny or do something different. Right. So if you want something to change, you need to show up. You need to show up and you need to create those actions to influence your destiny. And that positive behavior is a key characteristic of the asset mindset. Right, Daniel?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well said.
I do got a question for you, Daniel. And I guess it would be more of an opinion thing than anything, because just recently Triggered Joe, we talk about it every day, but Joe was he made a comment to me about, he said, you're a humble guy. Never ever thought of myself as being a humble person, because I do. I talk, I can talk, so I don't have any problem striking up conversations. And I guess I have always associated that outgoing personality with the opposite of being humble. But I guess what my question to you is, do you think humble people think they're humble, or is that just like, to me, it was a surprise to hear that, or is a way that you can make yourself a more humble person?
I will throw it down to awareness. Okay, so you can be humble and not know it, and just not aware of it. You haven't grown to that level of awareness yet. Because a lot of people, honestly, how much self-reflecting do we do? Where, I got to do this, I got to go here, I got to do laundry, I got to cook, I got to go shopping. How much time, like you talked about what you would be doing a year ago. You'd be, I'm tired, I worked all day, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to watch TV and relax. We think that's our way of just like, unwinding. But in actuality, it's kind of a self-defeating thing to just sit there and you're not taking advantage of your time. But going back to your question of being humble, that is something that I think comes naturally, but it also can be learned. And awareness of it, that's on the individual.
Gotcha.
And it goes back to that never stop learning as well. I mean, if you always see that silly pie chart on Facebook, things that I know that I don't know, then the things that I don't know. I mean, what I know keeps staying kind of small, and things that I know I don't know keeps getting bigger, and who knows what I don't know. So it's part of being humble, is just being that self-aware to know you don't know everything, and there's always more that you can learn, either whether it's a book smart or about people. I guess that's why I equated it to.
Right. For Sure.
Right. So going back to the self-awareness, you gotta be self-aware of your weaknesses and your strengths, right? So you can find your weaknesses and learn how to manage them or get rid of them, or you can use your strengths to leverage them to get to where you want to be. And so back to that you need that self-awareness that he mentions meditating or prayer or just taking time for yourself, that and being able to know exactly where you are in life. It'll help you see where your goal is or what you're doing at that point. And also when you're talking about VTT, Kevin, so that brings us to the relationship awareness, right? How do they affect your life? Are you building strong ones, positive ones? Are they negative? Do you need to cut them off and let them go? Having that awareness of who those people are and how they affect you in your everyday life and how you're thinking and your mindset, because everything is contagious, negative or positive. Do they affect your life in a positive way? You said VTT does, and me too. I'm coming up on my 1 year with them, and
Yeah.
I didn't know that I'd be on here doing all these podcasts with everyone. And I didn't know that I thought that I was just going to be some lonely old moderator, for a Facebook group, right? And it turned out to be so much more. It turned out to be that mission definitely hits our core, right? Since we're all veterans or we're veteran supporters, we relate a lot to each other. We have that camaraderie and we know and focus on the mission. And so our mission is to prevent soldier suicide, veteran suicide, active duty people suicide, right? That's our mission, is to be that person for each other, and also to promote veteran businesses. But I think the whole thing is to bring the community together, because bringing the community together helps each other and keeps that positive mindset and helps keep us on track.
It absolutely does. It absolutely does. And again, I'm a good bit older than, the men that started Veteran Trash Talk, but I was in complete awe of them, as the rest of the panel knows, to where initially all I wanted to do was earn a spot on that team, be worthy of being able to surround myself with men like that. But I've really found out some things about myself that, I thought I knew, not that I thought I knew it all about life, but I really thought I had myself figured out. And they have definitely elevated my game. So again, that was an area where, I was working the asset mindset without realizing that's what I was doing. And it's kind of turned the tables a little bit, not all the way, but I know I've elevated my game enough to where, not that they want to be like the Celtic warrior. Nobody can be like the Celtic warrior. But it's, as you know, Daniel, because you spoke about it in the book, we elevate each other's game as a team.
Oh, absolutely. And that's part of being an asset mindset teammate. It's not just having people helping you. Like it goes both ways. I mean, I talk about that with my buddy Chase. Like he's having a baby. I'm going down there to give him money and, do some stuff to be like, hey, congratulations, let me help and honor you and your family. And I walk away leaving with something valuable, like I'm just like, wow. Same type of thing you're talking about with VTT.
Right.
You end up getting with those people. They are going to help you, and make sure you're doing the same. And it'll just become a snowball effect. And you're all going to get bigger and grow and get stronger and, have more momentum.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I just surprised what the group did too, because I thought the same thing. I was like, oh, I'm just going to be a moderator. Here I go, doing my job. I didn't realize how much involved this was going to get. And then all the wonderful people that I've met in the group, I have to definitely agree with that. I've met some wonderful people, and I was quite surprised myself. So,
and I would like to add, to me, the team doesn't stop at the people who are, in the let's say what it is. It's the leadership of Veteran Trash Talk. The team, to me, is the entire Veteran Trash Talk community. As far as I'm concerned, they're all my team, and I want to do my very best to help them. It's that word accountability is really, they can all kind of be summed up in that, because we all hold each other accountable, and that leads us to, bring our best. on a daily basis. That's what's different is I could bring my best, when I felt like it. Now it's just, it's there. It's absolutely all right. I mean, people, I'm waiting to get drug tested at work. I'm just saying. I mean, because yes. Rex, what you got, buddy?
Well, for me, like the power of resources, that like there, but early on when everyone was talking, someone, they said the word tool, and that's what I realized by reading this book. There are so many tools. There are these things. I realize I need to be a better person. I need to, improve these certain points. I shouldn't get so frustrated. Why does that matter? Why do I need to put my energy into this? Because this is not going to benefit me. This is not going to help me grow. This is not something that I should do for the best me. So, and those things, and also realizing, like I said, the resources around me, I'm like a tool. I'm bringing this all together. I go to the plumbing house, and I will pick these guys' brains. I say, man, I got the plumbing in my car. It's a 12-foot section. I just disconnected it and I need to rebuild all of it, or like, and these guys share their information with me and I will just sit there and I'll pick their brain. They get annoyed with me. But and Kevin will tell you, like you got something. I'm like a sponge, because I'm young. I realize I'm young, and these guys, are out here and they've been doing it for a while. So, like I said, reading this book is like allowed me to see all these things that I kind of feel like I need to pull together, or I know it's useful, but it's now helped me realize like it's right here. It's right here in front of me. And I have the choice right now to get it and to try my best. And even if I don't do my best, there's tomorrow.
That's right.
And I can fix it.
David, you got anything to add there, buddy?
Not really, guys. You guys have pretty much hit everything.
I'll tell you, I like what you said in our little, because not only do we have a book club, we have a book club chat that is, hey, did you read chapter 11 yet in David's case? I loved his comment was, and I'm paraphrasing, but it was like, chapter 11 sums up the entire book,
It pretty much was.
And I hadn't read chapter 11 at that point. And what's crazy, because I'm reading on my phone, I keep highlighting. I think I've highlighted 90% of chapter 11. I should have highlighted what wasn't important instead of the other way around.
Yeah, so. Those nuggets, that I was trying to pull out of the book. I saw us highlighting them, and I was like, man, I highlighted just about all of chapter 11.
That's
it
was taking a mental note of that.
Yeah. So Daniel, do you actually, because I'm not there yet, but I honestly, because this is, it's more, and it honestly is, and I'm not just saying this because you're sitting here now, but it's more than just a book that you put down. I could see myself picking it back up, maybe 6 months from now. Hey, let me go back to chapter 11. You've created a manual more so than a book. It doesn't say how to, but it really should. It's an absolute how.
Actually, I think it does.
On the cover, it says.
Mindset. I mean, I thought you read it. Come on, I'm out.
It totally says that, Kevin. Even when I post it online.
And the FM, you know what I mean? It's not like
how-to guide.
It's not written down like a field manual, in other words. All right, you got me. Hey, but guess what? I will be editing, so this part's getting edited out.
No, keep it.
This is it's genuine stuff. It's real. You want reality. People can relate to it. It's Absolutely. Like we all struggle, we all make mistakes, and it's good. You roll with it and then have that positive attitude. So I'm glad everybody loved chapter 11, and I'm really glad that it is becoming a reference or a tool for people.
There you go.
To go back to. I've heard that repeatedly, and that the first person that helped edit my book, the other author that I went to, Tommy, he said the same thing, and he even wrote that in the review, like this is something that needs to be read and then reread. you know,
Absolutely.
or if you're struggling at life at a certain thing, or maybe wanting to make a choice, pick it up, you know. And I tried to write it easily, you know, in a manner that it was user friendly. It wasn't this overwhelming book to read. I didn't try and make it overcomplicated and do a lot of fluff and whatnot. It was like, hey, going back to one of the nuggets I learned, keep it simple, stupid. You know, time that we have is limited. Let's be efficient with it. You know, so I tried to make a book that was right to the point, a little entertaining, make people laugh a little bit. You know, and if you guys want to share, I am curious what people thought was the funniest or their biggest laugh, because I hear different things that different people relate to.
I've already touched on this in our second meeting, I believe, but for me, I chuckled all the way through the tree story because that was me. Not for the same reasons. I was not getting money out of it, but I was being made to dig up a big tree. And the abbreviated version is my dad was from Scotland, made him a little cheap, you know, in the new world. And if there was an opportunity to dig up trees instead of, you know, pay for landscapers to come and put them in, we were digging up trees. And I laughed through that entire section, other than your pain, because I also felt your pain. But the end of it ended up being a memory of a lifetime, just like yours. Mine concluded with us having a 25-foot fir type tree hanging out the back of a 1974 Nova, and a couple weeks before Christmas as well. So that, for me, that was the highlight, believe it or not. And I'll pass it over to whoever else wants.
I really like that story. And I wanted to know, was your dad's friend being like sarcastic, like, yeah, this boy can't do it, just so he can see you do it? Cause they knew you would, you know, like, cause I'm that type of parent where I would say something sarcastic and like challenge my kids and say, you can't do it, just to see that they can.
No, he legitimately was like, and I'm telling you right now, if I saw a 12-year-old and that tree and that stump, I would make that $100 bet, because it was a beast. And I mean, even after I loosened it, like, let's just say that it was a full-size 3/4 ton truck that pulled it out, and it had a full 8-foot bed. That stump could not have fit in the bed. Really, it was so wide with the roots and stuff. Like it,
wow.
I to this day, I'm like, I can't believe I did that. That's why I put it in the story. But it was for me in that time, and you know, at that time in the world, there wasn't video games all the time, and there wasn't. So I was outside. I was building forts, digging stuff, doing things, working with my dad. So I was very hands-on and out there. And I'm like, I can do this. I can do this. I ended up making it happen, but it was not easy. And I did doubt myself for several times in there. Like when I was sitting on that outside perimeter, I was like, I can't do this. I can't. I don't know how many times I just sat there and was like, I can't. And I was like, but you've come so far, don't quit. And then I got that same type of attitude, and I'm like, well, I'm going to go as far as I can. I don't care anymore. I'm just going to go, kind of like the martial art fight. And it ended up working out, and I finished it in time, and I got the $100.
Nice. Well earned, I may add.
Well, and that was like in around what years time frame, just so we know the
bunny. When you guys.
Well, when did that happen?
Yeah, the year
1987.
Okay, so $100 back then is probably like $300 now.
At least.
Maybe more. But it was like a whole summer. I used to make like, you know, like $8, $10, $12, you know, doing a paper route for like the whole neighborhood and going around different blocks. So it was like $100. What? My whole summer.
That was a lot of money back then.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead, Michelle. You were saying something.
Oh no, I said my favorite part. I don't know why, but it was the bunny when they were doing their tactical moves and movement. At 2:00 in the morning.
Oh yeah.
And then you like setting up, you know, the perimeter until you realized there was a rabbit, and then you were cracking jokes. So all I could think was like what I'd be saying, you know, the Monty Python about the rabbit coming out of the cave. So I was just laughing about and all that stuff. So I found that part really funny.
Yeah,
that's a good one. A lot of the team guys like that one. Yeah, and they really were gonna. They started to lay into me. But when I came back, you know, because we all think like, oh, what am I going to say? How do I respond to this? I was like, wait a minute. If a rabbit can't sneak up on us, you know, how do you think these?
I know.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Nice, very nice.
I think all the stories in there were pretty good too.
They were.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
talking about the rain, like you weren't wet until your butt crack got wet.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah, that's a
First
veteran
step.
thing right there.
That's like relatable because we've all stood watch. So
No doubt, no doubt.
So let's go ahead and move on to chapter 12. I know you guys said that there was a lot of the same overlapping themes in chapter 11. And for the most part is, keep a positive mindset. But Daniel, I wanted to ask you about specifically in chapter 12, and you said it throughout the book. What do you mean? And can you explain to us what you mean by observe through love? So observe through love when you're making decisions and about people who are surrounding you.
Okay, so observe through love. Like this is something that I guess has become more and more aware to me through time. As you look at people, how they treat you or what they do, is it truly a loving thing? Is someone helping you for their own benefit, or are they doing it out of love? Is someone caring for you, because they love you, or it's selfish? Are you doing things out of love to other people? That right there, I think if you just step back, because people do all kinds of things in interactions and relationships, and to be able to go like, all right, is this a loving thing? Are they conducting themselves in a way that is love? And I know it sounds a little weird, like an SF guy and all this type of stuff, but in genuine things, man, when it comes down to it, and people that have been downrange together or in combat, like you're not fighting for like whatever little thing, you're fighting for the person next to you because you love and care about them. That's what it comes down to, and I think it's really, in a sense, that simple. I know it's like, how can it all just come? But it does. And I mean, I don't want to get too philosophical or religious, but I mean, that's in the Bible, and love and God. I mean, like, there's something to it, people. Like, like it's there.
Absolutely. Amen to that. And I guess that's actually another area that I was becoming an asset mindset without realizing it. And sometimes I felt like maybe I was on the verge of getting diagnosed with some kind of disease, because all of a sudden I felt this overwhelming urge to let the people in my life know that I love them. Not just one time, hey, I love you. And the man sitting over there, Rex Brown, I was sitting here talking to him on the phone one night, and as our phone call ended up, I'm like, all right, love you. And my wife did a head snap, like,
Excuse me.
What? But it's a genuine, again, there was definitely a pattern of behavior with that started with Veteran Trash Talk, because all of a sudden I really felt a true love for my brothers. Again, obviously, like I hadn't felt since I'd been in the military, but more so. And for some reason, it's not only become important for me to tell the people in my life, as Monica said in the first, show me. It's become a priority for me to show them in my deeds and my actions, not just my words. And that really hit home for me.
No, that's awesome. Actions speak louder than words.
I think you've been doing a great job, Kevin. Like last time you weren't able to join us, but we were able to talk about how you made that change every day to actually make yourself healthier and start exercising every day and making that a priority. And so without us knowing before we even read the book, that was part of the book, was to, make yourself a priority, make your health a priority, your exercise a priority, set an example for other people, be that change that other people want to see.
Absolutely.
So I think you've been doing a great job, Kevin.
Well, thank you.
Bravo.
You too. To everyone.
Good job, Kevin.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now
Thank
call
you.
you a teammate. I didn't even know you.
That's it. That was awesome.
Your decisions, your actions,
That's
reaching
it.
out, being bold, making change. Look at this.
There
That's
you
it.
go.
There's
There
no
you
stopping
go.
me now. I swear, I feel like there is nothing that can stop me. And it's just, I'm going to keep gaining these tools. I'm looking, whatever we're reading next, I know it's going to be something that's going to add to that tool bag. And I
So-
plan
I'm
on
going to make a
doing that.
suggestion.
Find more nuggets.
You absolutely can.
Okay, so I obviously you might see in the background I got Tip of the Spear, and I talk about Ryan Hendrickson. That is a
Yes.
great book if you want to go through some veteran experiences, what he went through. If you want a similar theme, that one I would say there's life lessons, but it's more entertaining. If you want something similar, to the asset mindset. Give me a second and I'll share one that's a recent read of mine.
Got it. Absolutely. What are you gonna say, Michelle?
Yeah, I think we put that one first, didn't we? For
We did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was letting them finish. I didn't want to jump in there and say, yeah, I read it. But no, but actually
read this one.
Oh, wow.
Living every minute.
Every minute. I like the title. Absolutely.
Who's
Does
it
it
by?
say how to, does it say how to live every minute? That way, when this guy's on the book, I don't get it wrong.
Dr.
How-to
Dr.
guide.
Tim's 4 pillars for creating a spectacular life.
But I have in fact read Ryan's book. He came across my radar on the podcast, and I went into reading Tip of the Spear. Like, I love military history. I've consumed it over my lifetime, and I was like definitely taking lessons from the Tip of the Spear, but it was more like Ryan, unfortunately, was pointing out where I went wrong in my life. Like, you know, I brought this up in one of our earlier group meetings that it was tough for me to read that, because, you know, where Ryan made the right choices. I know he didn't make all the right choices. I mean, but he pointed out the ones that were right.
Nobody does.
I'm glad to hear that. But in my case, I had this, it might have been the start of me admitting my flaws in character and truly facing them to do something about it. Because at every turn where Ryan did something right, I recognized a parallel, and I went completely the opposite way. And I freely admitted it in the first meeting that one of the biggest problems I've had in my life is flat out being a quitter, and not necessarily when things got too tough or the fight, fear response. It was just, in hindsight, I have to label what I've done in the past when it comes to relationships, jobs. I haven't been in a job I've never had 3 weeks vacation, because I've never had 5 years under my belt at a company, and I had to use the word, I guess, in the way like a alcoholic goes to their first AA meeting. And I showed up here and said, basically, hi, I'm Kevin. I've been a quitter, and at that time I was able to say it because I'd moved on from that. So yeah, I've already put Ryan's book on our reading list, so hopefully he'll honor us with his presence as well. But you are right, it's more than just a typical.
He might be able to. I spoke to him today, so I might be able to give him a little nudge or something.
I will. All right, appreciate that.
Maybe. I can't make promises for him. He's his own man and he's doing his own thing. I hope I'm as successful someday as he is. So.
And that actually, because you and I'm paraphrasing, but that was it does have to do with that introspection. And I'll tell you what, that was a hard pill to swallow. But you know what? Once that pill was swallowed, it was digested, and then I moved on from it. That's when I moved on, when I admitted that, yes, I did have a problem historically with giving up. Now it's not a part of me. I don't care.
Well, Kevin, I was wanting to add on this, because it's not talked about in the book, but it has allowed me to realize this. So like, you have a thought, and then it provokes an emotion. And just like the good wolf and the bad wolf inside of you, now, like, because of this book, I've thought, okay, I have this thought. Am I feeding the bad wolf if I continue to think about this, or am I feeding the good wolf? And I think, because of the way you were treated, it wasn't because, like you said, it wasn't because the work got too hard, or because, you couldn't do it. It was because of the way you were treated. It wasn't the way that you were working or being a good employee.
Right. But that was still, my attitude was that I'm this great machinist. I don't have to put up with this crap. The crap I was talking about was nothing compared to really things that are heavy on people's lives.
Yeah.
I mean,
Would you say that's crab mentality?
Yes, no doubt.
Was that crab mentality and victim
Yeah,
mentality almost?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Screw these people. They don't appreciate me. I'm moving on down the road. It's not their job to appreciate me. It's nice when an employer does appreciate you, but it was just, screw it. I'm out of here. Relationships too. Screw it. I'm out of here. And that's quitting. You don't feel that way at the time. You think you're standing up for yourself, You're
Well,
really not.
sometimes some people have the fear of being successful because they don't know what that's like. And so in the book, Daniel describes that fear is an opportunity to be brave. So you stepping up and saying, yes, I'm going to finish this, or yes, I'm going to be an example. I'm not going to be a quitter anymore. That was your opportunity to say, fuck fear. I'm going to be brave and I'm going to be successful, you know? So a lot of people fear that success because they've never been there, or they fear, you know, being that role model to other people because they've never been there, or they don't see themselves that way. But once you change that mindset that you are, or you can be, or you will be that person, then you got it. You know, do not let doubt step in, right? Don't let that step in. So he says that chapter 12, you know, and pain is temporary. All that stuff that happens to you at work, it's temporary. And the obstacles provide the growth and influence. And then so Daniel, you also talked about having an influential code and creed and prayer and words of wisdom to live by. For me, I know that I still live by my oath that I took as a United States sailor. So I still live by that. And I have taken an oath of office for working with Department of Homeland Security. So I definitely keep that with me all the time. How about you guys? What do you guys live by? Any creeds, oaths, or anything that you can take away from this book that you can live by, your golden nugget that you got to stick by?
You are who you choose to be.
There you go.
That was
Absolutely.
in the first chapter, that the dragon code that you wrote about, Dan.
Yep, I am what I am because I choose to be. I'm a dragon by choice and subject to its loss. My family, instructors, my friends, and my classmates are my heart and my mind. Even though we may disagree with each other, we still strive to be one, forgetting all categories and letting energy which wishes to exist. And as a dragon, I must go forth to seek the Tao in the void, understanding myself and finding peace within.
Nice.
There you go.
Nice. Well, as far as like, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a code, but I start out every morning by reading my vision board because I've got it plastered in my bathroom mirror. And
There you go.
you know, there's a couple things. Instead of, I have be an asset mindset, not just, you know, absolutely embrace it. You know, not you are, it's within me now. You know, it's, I am going to be an asset mindset today. And probably this comes from Daniel, the one that's really, that saves me every day is the one I have written about, no matter what, get back on track. Because, you know, when it comes to like weight loss and fitness, I was always that person who, a 2-week gap, oh, I've ruined it all. It's all gone. All the months of training have been destroyed by that cookie and that ice cream. You know, and then your 6 months of cookies and ice cream, that's what destroyed you, not that 2 weeks. So that little phrase there, no matter what, get back on track. And out of everything, that was the thing that I got from the book, because that leads to quitting. If you don't get right back on track on a daily basis, no matter what you did the day before, you'll never be an asset mindset to anybody, including yourself, and you will eventually end up quitting.
No,
Yeah,
I totally agree with that, Kevin. That's a good attitude to have.
Thank you.
Well, just
It
like
only took me 55 years to get here. I mean, where was your book 30 years ago, young man?
I was digging out a stump.
I was gonna say, what was all that tree digging? You should have been in your room writing the book, man. But
I'm still trying to figure it out myself.
Yeah, but that does just show you the value of, because, you know, even though, you know, I talk to Ryan, you know, now and again, you know, through Messenger, same way I do you, in about the same frequency. But that's still, even if it's just for those little minutes that I get to talk to you guys, I've surrounded myself with people who are going to make me better. So it doesn't really matter the amount of impact or in the matter of time, you know, how much you can spend time with these people. Even those minutes of surrounding yourself with what amounts to greatness, it's going to rub off on you. That's the only explanation for where I'm sitting today. Absolutely.
I think one of the biggest takeaways is when you set your course for yourself. So I think in the book, you also mentioned GPS. So you want to go somewhere and you go GPS, right? And so sometimes there's a detour. GPS doesn't know that. But then there's an alternative route, right? So even though there's obstacles in your way, you can still get there. you can still get back on track, just like Siri's like, okay, rerouting, like shut up and reroute. But anyway, like, so just like when you have the GPS and you're planning your route out, your directions out, be aware that it's not always going to be smooth. You're not always going to have a smooth flight, smooth sailing, smooth car ride, whatever analogy you want to use. It's not always going to take you the direct way. So plan for that, have contingency plans, and always know that as long as you just stay focused, you can get to that goal. You can be successful. And that's one of the things we try to drive on our podcast. I do the Throat Punch Mondays with the female veterans. And I know the guys do this on their VTT podcast, is that they drive home the fact that it's not overnight. Like you becoming a better person and you healing or you becoming successful is not going to be overnight. Like we all got out at some point. The military doesn't last forever, right? It ends. At some point it ends. You can only ride that train for so long. But then what do you do after, right? You have to find something that makes you motivated. You have to find your purpose, right? And that's where that asset mindset goes in. And we drive that point home every single show. And I think we're doing that on this show too. And I think that's a big takeaway, that people need to know that it takes work to get to where you want. You might fail, but then get back up and do it again. Nobody's perfect.
Absolutely. The thing that it's not just with the asset mindset, but it's amazing to me how a lot of the people in reading I'm encountering are saying the same thing. And the one that comes to mind, the first person I heard talk about, don't succumb to that victim mentality, was Leah Day. Again, a profound, show that really made me go, huh? But guess what? I'm hearing it again, in the asset mindset. And I think that's maybe what led to that quitting mentality. Was I felt I was always the victim to some circumstance, whether it was, oh, they're not paying me enough, or they don't appreciate me enough. I'm better at my job than, that guy. If that was in fact the case, then just shut up and do your job and prove it. And, the positive mindset for me was just never there until recently through all the people that have touched my life. So, but the point being, it's like, we're all in our own way. We are selling. We're at Veteran Trash Talk, the asset mindset, tip of the spear, Leah Day, the Throat Punch podcast. We're all coming with the same message. And I think why we're so motivated and want to get that message out there is that we just want everybody to feel as good as we do. Or at least, mentally. It's just so mentally refreshing to not be burdened with self-doubt. I'm still working on that. Maybe that's why I get up early, because I always get caught with the self-doubt when I'm laying there trying to go back to sleep. I'd mentioned this in one of the other shows, that, what if you can't live up to this person that you're becoming? What if all of a sudden the real you pops out, but the asset mindset has taught me, stop that. As soon as I hear that stinking thinking, remember we were talking about that, Len? As soon as that stinking thinking comes in, instead of feeding it, again, Rex, good point. I'm not feeding that bad wolf. I'm saying, no, I am the good wolf. I have good thoughts. I have positive thoughts.
Right.
And instead of laying there with that doubt, I get up and do something.
You're turning that page in your mind. You're like, no, I don't want to read this. I don't want to read this story. I want to turn the page and go to a page that I want to focus on.
Yeah, but it's just amazing to me that everybody that's coming into this big circle that we're creating as veterans, we're all in our own way coming with the same positive message. And I really, truly believe that it's going to lead to great things for, not just veterans. I mean, anybody who's willing to embrace this way of living.
Right. Like I said, I was going to, I make my kids read books like this. So I'm going to make my kids read this book next. So instead of reading bedtime stories with them, I read these chapters with them. So I'm going to be doing that with my 8-year-old daughter. I started my boys are 15 and 20 now, and they have been reading these type of books since like 3rd grade. So my daughter's in 3rd grade now, so it's time. So this is probably the first one I'm going to make her read.
And
What a great parent. God bless you.
Nice.
I have
Nice.
18-year-old son. I go and wake him up every morning, use him a blurb from this book. He goes, "You're still reading that Army guy's book, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah."
It's a good book.
I'm still reading that book.
Listen,
buddy.
it's so good. I
something
recommended
sink in.
it to. I recommended it to my mother-in-law, to my sister-in-law, to my sister-in-law's friends. I've recommended it to my little cousin who's like 15. I'm like, look, this book is for anybody. And this is before I even finished the book. It was like the first 3 chapters. I said, you don't have to be military to read this book at all. Like, this is for anyone. Like, this is like life stuff that, I wish that I would have known, or I wish that I would have had that type of sponge mentality and without the mud in it to be able to read this,
Yeah, me too.
right?
I'd like to say I recommended this book to my father-in-law, and he recently used an excerpt in a sermon.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'm honored. The ripples, it's unbelievable. You
Nice.
And
can't
my
fathom the
family
work you
is
do.
in Texas and in Washington and California, like everyone all over the nation, because obviously we're a military family. So everyone's all spread out. So everyone like in all these different states that I'm related to or know somebody, I've talked about this book. I'm like, you have to get this book. So
I'm honored. I'm really honored.
We are the start of the cult of the asset mindset. I can assure you that. Now we get some looks because I've given away the only 2 copies I was able to buy from Amazon. But when I'm holding them saying, you got to read this. Just do. I know you don't like to read, but please just try this. See what it's got to say to you. And that I love that look that you get, like, okay, what's the catch? Are you a Bible salesman? In some way, I'm not a Bible salesman, but I like what's being preached in the asset mindset. And that's it. I'm a generous enough person that I don't want to be the only one that's given these tools. I want everybody that I love. We're back to that love. That's how I'm going to use the asset mindset. I love you.
right.
You would be a better person for
It's so
reading.
helpful that it feels selfish to keep it to yourself,
you
like
go.
it feels like I'm being selfish that people don't know about this book. Like, so I have to tell them, hey, get this book. You know what I mean? So I'm not selfish.
Too kind.
Not at all.
So
no.
we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Daniel Fielding, thanks so much for joining us. Tell us in a minute or 2 minutes, what is the asset mindset? What is that?
What is the asset mindset? I want to make it 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Number 1 is you are your greatest asset to achieving your goals and your dreams. Number 2 is you want to surround yourself with great assets, whether it's people, places, and environment. And then number 3 is you need to be a great asset to others.
All right. And you heard it from Daniel Fielding himself. 1, 2, and 3. Well, that wraps it up for our VTT book club, our last meeting of the asset mindset. And we're so honored to have Daniel Fielding join us today. Thank you so much, Daniel.
It's an honor to be here.
And for our listeners and our viewers and watchers, tune in to VTT book clubs. We're airing on Sundays during the school year at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. Subscribe to the podcast Veterans Trash Talk. My podcast is Veterans Trash Talk Throat Punch Mondays. Check out the website VeteranTrashTalk.com, VTT official on Facebook, Veteran Trash Talk on Facebook, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much.
Okay.